In the words of a certain Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars, hello there. Yes, we'll just completely gloss over the fact we tried to record a longer video at the weekend and it wasn't going to have any technology wasn't going to have any of it. So let's just ignore that and pretend it didn't happen. But anyway, first of all, as you can see by popular demand, we have an end of season special with THANE, as Mad Mistake calls him, or Thane to the sane folk. Love you, Terry. Thane, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing canny, mate. How about you?
Not too bad. Over the last week, I've started to hopefully get on a bit of a weight loss journey and found out I lost 3 pounds. So that's a good start. So there you go. But, we'll not waste any more time. As you guys know, 58% of people on the analytics who watch aren't subscribed. So you know the drill. Trying to get to 5K. And if you think I've earned a subscription from you, hit the like button and subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. Anyway, so let's get cracking. So obviously, we're actually going to be doing 2 videos. That's the intention with Thane. The first bit is looking through the whole season, and the second bit we'll talk about the retain list, maybe the news that Donald's finally gone, and then look ahead to next season. All the usual stuff. But anyway, let's get right into it. So, first, quickly, Thane, sum up your thoughts on the season that we've just had.
Yeah. I mean, you got to say it's been a very successful first season back in the Championship. I mean, there is a hell of a lot more positives to take rather than negatives. I mean, obviously, knowing the way I am, we'll just quickly get the little negatives out the way. I mean, one, possibly could have done a little bit more in the January window, but it is what it is. And
no,
also,
I agree with you there. I think we could have done, but there you go.
Yeah. And really bad luck with injuries this season, and that, which obviously that's out of our control, but there's nothing we can do about that. But that affects us. But aside from that, we played some fantastic football. And that's been a joy to watch this season, and there's a really good platform to build on for next season. So yeah, it's been a very successful season.
The one thing to quickly get negatives out of the way, I think, is the home form. And I think the performances on the whole at home, apart from maybe Stoke, Burnley's second half at home, maybe bits of the Huddersfield game, to be fair. For the most part, out of 23 home games, I would argue about 2/3 of the performances have actually not been that bad. But the home results haven't been good enough. I think we only won something like 8 home games, including the playoffs, out of 24. So, that's something where next season, I mean, you saw what happened in the Premier League yesterday at the time of recording, but later on, a few days ago by the time I can be bothered to upload this, because I'm lazy. But, the league next year is going to be tough. But at the same time, if we are going to try and mount a promotion challenge, which I think more people will expect next season, and rightly so, and it looks like the interview with Christian Speakman suggests he expects it, and the club are targeting it as well, then we need to get more wins at the Stadium of Light. But otherwise, I agree with you. I think the football's been great, and I think Tony Mowbray, who I think we both said actually at the time that we weren't overly enamoured with when Alex Neil left, about him coming in. But to be fair, I think he should have been unsung shout for head coach or manager of the season, given that he got us into the playoffs with only Joe Gelhardt up front. And by the way, I think he did all right. I mean, apparently he played with an injury, I believe, which I think is a testament to his character. And then we also ended the season with no centre-backs and only one defender across the back line. I think to get in the playoffs is just a miraculous achievement. But fair play to the guy. And unless we have a disastrous start the next season very quickly, I think it's safe to say Tony Mowbray deserves a crack at it next year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that, I mean, like you said, considering hardly had you do feel sorry for the bloke to that, because hardly had Stewart that much during his time here, and near the back end of the season, when that no fit centre backs or anything, like a proper full on makeshift back line, which is mental and that. But yeah, for a newly promoted side, where he's even said it in an interview, his objective was consolidate, just to make sure we were okay. But to get this team in the top 6 with all the issues and everything, and that is just a credit to him. And yeah, like you said, unsung shout with that the manager of the. I mean, yeah, you understand. I mean, I think obviously Vincent Kompany probably got manager of the season and that, but yeah, Mowbray's definitely got to be in there for outside from shout. But yeah, really good job for the man.
Yeah, and I think also the players have got to take enormous credit for how they've responded to literally so much adversity in one go. It's absolutely frightening the amount of stuff we've had to go against us. And I would go as far as say, having watched bits of the playoff final the other day, I think if we had our fully fit team, I think we go up. Personally, I think we get past Luton in the second leg, and I think we beat Coventry at Wembley. But that's by the by. We've still had a fantastic season, and I think with Mowbray, you know, I mean, and you got to remember another thing we've got to mention as well. He didn't have Ellis Sims available for half the time he was here before he got recalled.
Exactly.
Oh, and very quickly, now Everton have stayed up, son, go after him, please. But anyway, that's why I wanted Everton to stay up, so I was happy that they did. We'll wait and see what happens with that one. But anyway, let's get right into it. So we're just going through about 8 or 9 categories, like mini ones. We'll try and do a little bit of quick firing, but with my waffling gob, that's definitely no guarantee. But anyway, let's start with the cliched one. Player of the season. And thankfully, by the way, it's going to be difficult to answer some of these questions because for once, it's not because we can't think of anyone for these categories, it's because there's quite a few people who could fit into them. But go on then. Player of the season. I'll let you start first.
I mean, obviously, like, we know there's been a lot of standout performers this season, but for me, like, it's got to be Danny Bart. And that, I mean, absolute colossus at the back, and that great leader. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, like, a bad performance from Danny Bart. I mean, Danny Bart for me is, like, if he's been an okay performance, you'd probably say like a 7 out of 10. But I think he's averaged at least 8, 9, like 9 out of 10 performances like this season. I think Danny Bart's been absolutely fantastic. So for me, Danny Bart, player of the season. But there is a lot of like shouts as well. But I would say Danny Bart.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with that. I think Danny Bart showed a lot of experience leadership. I think the one bad game he maybe had, but it was the whole team, was the Stoke home game.
Yeah.
But there's not been a game where he's exclusively not been very good. I think he's definitely up there. I think we've missed his leadership at times, and I think eventually we want to shift away from Danny Bart because of his age, because we want to have someone who's going to slot in alongside Dan Ballard on a longer sort of term basis for like a big, because at the back is where you need cohesion the most in a big partnership.
He is a good squad player to have, though, isn't he?
Oh, definitely not. He's definitely a player worth having. And I agree with you. I think player of the season, Danny Bart, but there's a few obviously that could fit into that category. Right, next one. Young player of the season. Should we just mention the whole team and leave it at that?
Yeah, considering the youngest squad in the championship.
Yeah.
But I think young players got to be Ahmad. Like Ahmad, like absolutely like fantastic. I mean, for a young lad, like the quality and the ability that lad's got like already, and like you can just tell that like he is destined to be a world class player like one day. I mean, very unlikely he'll be with us, even though there's those little rumours and that.
I know I was trying very hard not to get excited, and then this comes along and gets me hopes up. But yeah. I agree.
Yeah, you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah,
but Diallo's been a joy like to watching that. I mean, even in certain games where he might not have like performed to his actual best, he can just produce a moment of magic out of nowhere, and that like some of like his finishing in that like first time, that absolutely fantastic. So yeah, for me, Diallo. But there is like shouts of like Jack Clark could have been a contender for young player of the season, like as well. Yeah. I mean, I know he's like 22, but still he could have been an option, like a contender. But there's loads, but I would say Diallo.
Yeah, so would I. I think Ahmad's just shown the level of ability he's got. And to be fair, right, because I mean, there's been reports coming out that Ahmad, and he's been putting it out on Instagram. But again, I'm trying to think there might not be too much in that because it's just Instagram. I mean, we don't know. Ahmad's definitely running his Instagram account for all we know. It could be a PR team doing it for him. But if so, they're not doing a very good job then, because they don't usually go out and like Sunderland fan posts and do all this at the other. So I very much doubt it might be the case. But I'm finding it very hard to see how Man United let him come back next season. But all I'll say is Ahmad's been that good that because you've covered it all for us, if he comes back next season, if we get him on loan again, that is a steal. That is an absolute coup to get him again. So we'll wait and see. I doubt he'll come back, but his impact speaks for itself. I mean, Jack Clark is obviously another unsung shout, and I would argue he was certainly unlucky not to get an accolade on this because, you know, he's had 20 goal contributions. I think you said he got double figures in goals and assists this season. Yeah. So, you know, he's done incredibly well. Absolutely. But anyway, next one, most improved player. Because there's a couple that could. Well, like we when we did the original video, we had a couple of shouts here. For me, I'll start. I picked Trey Hume. But there's a few that Jack Clark you could argue because his performances in League One weren't exactly spellbinding. Let's put it that way. They weren't exactly mesmerising. But in the Championship, a whole different ball game. League One Jack Clark and Championship Jack Clark seem to be two different footballers. Like he's been abducted and given performance enhancing drugs for 9 months. But he's been absolutely incredible. But for me, Trey Hume, given that he came in, had to settle in at first, and he's established himself now as a really competent Championship right back. But there's a few players. Luke O'Nien could be in there. Jack Clark could be in there. Who's your view? Unless you've got anyone different.
No, I think I have to say Trey Hume and that. I mean, obviously, like the last time when we tried to do this, like talking about the fact that didn't play an awful lot of football when we got him in, like January in League One, thrown into the deep end against Rotherham. I thought he did okay personally, and that did okay in pre-season, but didn't really get much of a look in because of like Lyndon Gooch playing at right back. But eventually, when his opportunity came, never looked back. Hardly puts a foot wrong.
Yeah.
Very good defender, decent going forward as well. Brilliant in the air as well for a fullback as well. And Trey Hume and that. I mean, don't get us wrong. Like going forward, I still think it would be nice if we actually got like a little bit of competition, a bit of experience, to try and guide Trey Hume at right back going forward. But he has definitely earned the right to be our number one right back going forward, especially how he's performed this season.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I mean, unless we view Lyndon Gooch as the competition, I don't know, because I think Gooch is better as a fullback or a defender than he is as a forward. But depends where you view him, I suppose. But yeah, no, I think we're both unanimous. Trey Hume there. I mean, we got him for 300,000 from Linfield in Ireland, and I think that's just a steal. It's funny how Portsmouth got Denver Hume, and we got Trey Hume, so we've upgraded the Hume. But anyway, we'll move on. Right, surprise package of the season. Now, in the original video, I said Luke O'Nien, because I didn't expect him to be as competent and ready for the Championship as he has been. I thought he'd be a squad player, but he's played most of the games this season, and he's done remarkably, actually. So for me, Luke O'Nien, surprise. For me, Luke O'Nien's a surprise package, but I'm sure Tane will put me to shame by thinking of someone different I haven't thought of.
Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to go off script on that one like the last time, because I've been thinking about it a little bit. Yeah, don't get us wrong, Luke O'Nien is a great shout, and I definitely would have agreed with that. But someone who I'm going to actually throw out there, you actually just mentioned him like a minute ago. I'm actually surprised, because he does frustrate us at times, and even in League One, I don't think he always set the world alight. But this season, when he has played, yeah, he's had his one or two moments, but overall, I would actually say Lyndon Gooch could be an outside contender for that. I actually think when Gooch has played this season, I think he's actually done quite well, to be fair.
No, I think there's a good shout for that. And I mean, especially for Gooch, that's impressive, because obviously the last time we were in the Championship, he was part of the squad that got relegated. So, Harry Band with 6 kids. But just had to mention that in there, the Netflix documentary. The one good thing of that season, we got that quote. But yeah, no, to be fair to Lyndon Gooch, I mean, obviously he was a mainstay at right back, and I think when he's played, I think he's looked really good. And as a squad player, because I'm someone who's been very critical of Gooch in the past, but I think he's someone that I would look to certainly have as a squad option going forward. Right, the next two options. Game of the season. Now, that could be entertainment value, it could be performance of the season, whichever. You start. Whatever category you want to view it as.
Yeah, for me, last game of the season against Preston, just for the fact what was riding on the line, results and that starting to go in your favour. The fact that in the second half we absolutely tore Preston apart with some three fantastic goals and that. But yeah, I think, but obviously I do think the main reason was because at first you're thinking, well, we're not doing our job, results are going against us, and hang on, we're starting to do our job, results are starting to go for us.
Blackburn have really helped us out here.
Exactly. So I think just because of what was actually going on that day, like what was in our control and what wasn't in our control, and that for me, Preston was my most enjoyable game of the season.
I think if I was to use my own categories, I would say in terms of entertainment, not for me personally because I hate conceding goals, but the 4-4 against Hull was the bonkers game I think I can think of, because neither of us had great options up front apparently going into that game, and then we both scored 4 goals. So what does that tell you? But in terms
sorry, Michael. But basically, that whole game was just the perfect example of how to attack, but not how to defend.
Not how to defend.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be studied in football at academies, isn't it? Don't defend like in this game. But anyway,
attack like that. Keep attacking like that.
Just go for it. Yeah, just go for it. Forget about the back. We've already let in 3 goals anyway. But you know what, right? In terms of moments, I mean, performance from a defensive point of view, I would have to go with Burnley personally, because I think to go to Turf Moor, I think we're the only team that went to Turf Moor this season and kept a clean sheet there. But I might be wrong. Certainly in the league anyway. There might have been someone in the cup who did, but for me, I think the whole cohesion that night was excellent. But I'll give another quick unsung shout, and I keep forgetting about this game. But West Brom away, I think West Brom away, especially that second half when we managed to show the right amount of solidity, but also showed the quality going forward. I think But again, the good thing, I mean, Middlesbrough at home's another one, game of the season, arguably, because we dominated them, even 11v11. I thought we were by miles the better side. There's been so many games that we've played exceptionally well. And so again, it's funny because every time I think of game of the season, I keep thinking of different games I've missed out and different options that I haven't thought of because there've been that many of them. If I had to pin down one, I would say Burnley, but that's from a pure defensive point of view. But there's been so many good performances, it's hard to say.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Goal of the season. This is also another hard one because we've also got quite a few options, haven't we? But what is your 22-23 Sunderland Sky Bet Championship goal of the season?
I'm going to quickly go with two special mentions to the Alex Pritchard goal against Huddersfield, and also Patrick Roberts.
You're saying that as a Pritchard lover, aren't you?
Oh yes, definitely. Pritchard against Huddersfield. Patrick Roberts' brilliant woman bent like curler like against Watford,
which was massive now in hindsight.
Yeah, which was massive. But I think goal of the season has got to be Jack Clark's against Reading, like the football, just playing out from the back and that, and the whole flicks between Dan Neil, Pritchard, and Roberts and everything, just absolutely brilliant.
I mean, I agree with you. That's my goal of the season, and all I'll add to that is criminal that he wasn't even nominated for the EFL goal of the season. That's a disgrace, to be honest. And it's not just us; quite a number of people are saying it as well. I mean, other goals of the season, you're talking. There's another couple. See, again, we scored that many of them. I keep forgetting them. Clark's against Hull, Cirkin's second against West Brom. The second two goals at Wigan, even though Roberts, because when we went 3-1 up at Wigan, Roberts' goal was deflected, but the build-up to it was great. Ahmad's goal at Wigan.
Ahmad against Luton.
Yeah, that's another one. We've had so many good goals that it's hard to just pinpoint one or two that we've scored. Ahmad's against Birmingham. As you mentioned, the Huddersfield goal. There's just been so many good goals that we've scored, and it's just so nice to see that we've actually got some exciting attacking quality. Because I've never known Sunderland play football like this. It seems like an alternate reality, this. But yeah, I mean, Clark against Reading. I mean, of all the goals, I mean, it's no disrespect to any of the other goals because we've scored that many of them, but Clark's against Reading was just up there. Some of the best football I think I'll ever see Sunderland play. Right, Absolutely. Let's go through these two very quick fire rounds. Low point and high point of the season. I think we know what both our low points are going to be, but I'll start. Sunderland 1, bald idiot, Stoke City 5. Yeah, everybody, as everyone knows, I know Thane's got a different views of Alex Neil than I have, and that's totally fine. But even if you take the Alex Neil thing out of it, getting battered at home off a team that finished 10 places below us isn't good. That was disgraceful. And I think that's the one time I could accuse the players of shirking it. And to be fair to them, that's a rarity. This season they've done anything but shirk it, but that game they definitely did for me.
Yeah, and also just think the last time we were in the Championship, we were seeing that quite a lot. I mean, at least it was only one.
We were, weren't we?
But Jesus Christ, we were seeing that every time a team was coming to the Stadium of Light in the past, bloody hell. But obviously we're not going. It's obviously better times are coming now. So
yeah.
But as for Alex Neil and that, I mean, I don't hate the bloke. I do have a little bit more respect for him and that. But I did actually say this last time, when we tried to do this, where I do actually prefer Mowbray as manager to Neil, and I actually have a little bit of a reason for that as well, is because we could have easily fallen apart after they beat us 5-1, but in the end we still we actually built up, we actually learned from that, because didn't we beat Norwich after that?
Yeah, we did. We only lost twice after that for the rest of the season. Sheffield United in the second leg at Luton.
Yeah, exactly. And we, like you said, we finished 10 places above them and Stoke in the end, and that. So for me, in my personal opinion, as much as I do like Alex Neil for what he did, and that getting us here, I do actually think going forward, I think we actually have the better manager, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I've said last time that I think tactically Alex Neil, that's the one area Alex Neil does have over Mowbray, but I do think I appreciate Alex Neil, and I'll always be thankful that he got us out of League One. I just hate him for what he did, but I'm not. That's going over all ground. But that was a game, as you can imagine, as Thane will probably know, knowing me, that was a game I badly wanted to win. And of course it didn't happen. So hopefully that happened. Hopefully we'll get revenge next season. But we'll see. You never know. But I mean, low point. I mean, like I said, there's hardly that many. I mean, Alex Neil going was another one. Just walking out to go to Stoke, which I think was just disgraceful, to be honest. But then you're talking that game, which was a low point. But let's go on to a more positive one. High point, which there's been much more of those than low points. Now, for me, you mentioned it earlier for your game of the season. For me, it was Preston away. but that was because I think I was there. That was probably influenced it a bit. That second half at Preston, when we went 3-0 up, and then we heard that Brereton Diaz had a soft spot for Sunderland and decided to put Millwall out the playoffs and help us get into them, was just incredible. When we found the roar at 4-3 to Blackburn, and when the full-time whistle in the Blackburn game happened, because that ended about a minute before ours did, that was something I'm never going to forget. That roar, that atmosphere was just insane. That's my high of a season of many highs. That's my high point of the season.
Yeah. I think with high point, I think it's got to be like Preston and probably you mentioned it before as well, like West Brom, like the fact that results were actually going for us for a change, but we weren't doing our job against West Brom, and that. But then second half, Dennis Serkin shows up with absolute masterclass and that. So I'd say Preston and West Brom.
Yeah, Dennis Serkin, the absolute goal machine. Yes. It's almost quite funny how many times the results went in our favour, because it almost went. It's going too well. You're like, hang on, like, where's the catch? There's always a catch somewhere. Where is it? But yeah, that's fair enough then. And the last point we'll mention for this season review, for the first part of this 2-part end of season special, is the grade of the season, the overall grade of the season. I think you went with an 8 last time, didn't you? When we did the original video, you went with an 8, 8.5.
Yeah, I said 8.5. I would have given it like 9 had we got to Wembley. I would have given it 10 if we got promoted.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'd say 8.5 and that. But I could easily give it a 9 and that. But I mean, like I said, the only reason that I'll give it 8.5 and not a 9 for is because of the whole January window situation where we should have get to a striker in. So.
We should have. I'll go with a 9. I think what stops me giving it a 10 is a couple of things. One, not getting a striker in January, I think was criminal. 2, I think the home form's a bit and third, obviously we didn't get promoted, but that's being harsh. Like, we've had a much better season than I think any of us envisaged we would 12 months ago. If you told us 12 months ago, with all the injuries we had, Alex Neil would go and we finished in the top 6 in our first year back in the Championship, quite frankly, we would have wanted to see what class of drugs you've been smoking. But I think we've had a fantastic season, and the way I always look at it is, look at the 2 teams that came up with us a year ago, who finished well ahead of us in League One, by the way, Wigan and Rotherham, and look where we are, look where they both are. Wigan's back in League One, and Rotherham, albeit for them that's a good season, just about survived. We can't really complain with the season overall, I don't think. There's things to improve on, as there always is, but I think we can definitely take a lot of pride from this season. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the first part of our end of season special. So this first bit was our season review. Tried to condense it down just so hopefully avoid technical difficulties, but my luck will probably not work again. But anyway, as I said earlier in the video, if you think I've earned a subscription from you, then hit the like button, give it a thumbs up. Absolutely free, doesn't cost a penny, as Sean Middleton used to say. And I swear we need to get that on a t-shirt for him. But anyway, yeah, I think I've enjoyed. But thanks very much, Thane, for coming on. It's been nice looking back at the season, and then the next video we will talk about sort of the general update with Sunderland, like the retain list, the fact that Donald's finally gone, hallelujah for that one, and also the fact that we look ahead to next season. But until the next one, whenever I decide to upload it and stop being lazy, take care of yourself, guys, and I'll see you later.